Simply having a wonderful Christmas stream. How are you, Charles? It's working now. Everything is working. How is everything in Penang? Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all that.
All right. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy New Year in advance to you too. It's wonderful out here. I'm one of these people who loves to ski and loves a white Christmas. And that's not a racist comment, by the way. And, but I equally love being in a warm climate, particularly a place like Penang on Christmas. It's really a testament to just how well established and how diverse life is here on this island, because this is a majority Muslim island with Christians, with Hindus, lots of Hindus, and of course, and many different religions. But everyone kind of just joins in the spirit of Christmas. And people, our great friend from Australia, Michael Smith, has a mate, as he would call him, who was married to a Malaysian, and they were very nice to invite me to their house for dinner. For lunch that turned into dinner, and I got home at 11 p.m. And a stream of people from all over the world were there, and it was really very nice. I wisely did not try to keep up with the pace of Australian drinking, because that would have killed me. But it was very nice, and I had to turn down another invitation for Christmas. And in my upbringing, Christmas is not generally a time where you invite strangers to your house. So it was pretty nice. It's mostly just family, normally. So it was nice to be welcomed, and we had a robust and fun time. The guests, many of them liked karaoke singing, and of course I did not shatter the crystal and glassware in the house by trying to sing, but others did sing very well, and it was fun.
Sounds great, Charles.
I was a little bit homesick for this idea that you could go on the subway, a line that I used to ride frequently, and
it set on fire.
He set on fire moments before the governor of our great state, who's a moron, gets up and says, the New York subway has never been safer. Really?
She's a total idiot, Charles. It's interesting. It caused me to think about that guy, Max Azzarello, who set himself on fire. There was a lot of suspicious stuff around that. This guy, of course, is 33. I don't know if you caught that detail. And, okay, so Newsweek now says it's Amelia Carter. Now, somebody had released her name early on, but then there was some question. Why was she just standing there? Don't you freak out when you catch on fire?
I don't know. I mean, I hope I never find out. But it also is a little odd that there are different reports. There's one report that this person was a graduate or in a graduate school program as a nurse. And then there's another report that it was a homeless person. And, who knows what. I think Tom Homeless.
Hang on just a second here. Look at this. Newsweek is reporting that Community Notes on X states that this is a hoax and that the photo is AI, and no verified news sources as of the 23rd of December had given the victim's name. And they're saying here, the false information has circulated beyond X. That's the type of thing that makes me wonder what's going on with this story. Is this designed to make people think that X is spreading false information? We got to keep our eyes on this and see what happens. We're living in a world, Charles, sadly, where just everybody is constantly lying to us about something. It's so sickening. We got to talk about Joe Biden and what a complete polarizing jackass he is. He's done some incredible stuff, but, we created a wonderful Christmas poster for today with Trump-a-claus and Pedo Joe driving the creepy children's train. Did you ever see this movie?
No.
Polar Express, you never saw it?
No.
It's a good choice. What? Sorry.
Yeah, but in terms, my takeaway from whatever it is, 13,000 miles away from New York, is that that it is completely, wholly unacceptable for the Biden, quote, administration to pretend that it holds any legitimate control over the executive branch of the United States of America, given the obvious fact. We know Robert Hur made a decision, frankly, I think abused his prosecutorial discretion to not charge Joe Biden well before, with not just with mishandling classified information. If you do the type of investigation that the FBI does against its real targets, you think about Ken Starr, you start with whatever he was looking at originally and whatever he ended up looking at and not really getting to the bottom of. If you were actually going to mount an investigation into Joe Biden, you would start with Celtic Capri and what we uncovered, and I wrote about in the American Thinker a long time ago. You would ask the obvious question: how does a doofus who spent his entire life in government get associated with this West exec thing run by Tony Blinken, put Tony Blinken in as head of the Penn Biden Center, pay him an obscene amount of money? How does Joe Biden have 2 mansions? And how does he fund his lifestyle? How does the National Archives dirty itself up enough to induce the FBI to go through Melania Trump's underwear at Mar-a-Lago looking for classified documents when it full well knew that Joe Biden and Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and many others, maybe in the Bush administration as well, had taken special access protocol classified information, which I believe is the highest known classification, and sent either references to it or actually attachments of it on unvetted, unregistered, private alias devices using alias emails regularly. You're going to go, and the National Archives conspired with the FBI to have that raid at Mar-a-Lago. Let that be used as a talking point. They did that before it was revealed that Joe Biden had. We still don't know how much classified information he had, but Hur looks into all this and says, well, a jury would find this doddering idiot a sympathetic character, and we would never get a guilty verdict. What are you talking about? You can't say the President of the United States is such a doofus and so mentally incompetent that we're not going to charge him, while at the same time say, oh yeah, by the way, let's keep him in charge of the government. Unless the policy of the deep state is, we're looking at, we don't want people to go to Harvard and Yale and NYU. We want graduates of doofus university. We want to take these people, morons, and give them the prizes, give them the stature, put them on a pedestal, and then let them know that, if you go too far, Bathhouse Berry, we're no longer going to protect you. We're no longer going to stop Larry Sinclair from revealing what he truly did. We're going to tell Beau Biden. This Larry Sinclair has become a nuisance to us, and it's really tarnishing the Obama brand, as it were. So we got to stop Larry Sinclair from having any respectability. Let's ice him, Beau. You have to do that because your father's also a graduate of Doofus University, as are you. So I think we've been living in a pretend world, not in the Matrix, but in a world where the people who really wish to destroy America, the people who wake up every morning and put on their fake blue hair, and makeup doesn't work in the case of that woman, Stan Greenberg's wife, who's a powerful Rosa DeLauro, who's the congressperson. There's people who are just fundamentally nasty, have succeeded in taking the reins over who gets the prizes, who gets the admissions, who gets the tenure, who gets the publishing contracts, who gets to be on mainstream TV. And they have been lying to us for a long, long time. Not little lies of, do I look fat in that pantsuit? Big fucking lies. That clown. That literally is, I think if the Ringling Brothers Circus were still around and a clown came in preparing for a show looking like that, the whatever you call him, the master of ceremonies or ringmaster would say, listen, clown, that's too ridiculous for our audience. No, a 3-year-old kid's going to look at that and say you're too weird.
And here she is making us look terrible, lighting a Hanukkah menorah.
Well, yeah, she's absolutely a disgrace
to all Jewish people. Look at her; she's a witch here. That's more accurate.
She's a disgrace to there you go. She's a disgrace to humanity.
Yeah.
And this person and Pelosi and McConnell and all these ass clowns who cling to whatever power remains in Washington, D.C., they need to be swept out. They need to be prosecuted. And no, we can't say, oh, yes, Irish people did bad things and English people did bad things. Let's have an Irish compromise and everyone makes mistakes and let's move forward and think positively. Fuck that. This is the spirit of Christmas, right? And we welcome in the New Testament, but the Christians believe in the Old Testament as well. And as Steve Bannon said famously in the War Room recently, Trump may be a nice man, but Bannon is not. And there are a lot of people who are definitely not nice, who look at the grift and they want in on the federal, state, and local and globalist grift. It's much easier to steal money if no one's going to prosecute you, no one's going to audit you, than it is to actually study up and pass legitimately the tough exams that I used to have to take to get through the educational mill. So this is a time. I mean, you're still, I guess, in the day of the 25th, and we'll have, I think, a long period here where different people are, traveling on vacation, getting ready for kids to go back to school, college, high school, and university, and stuff like that. We have a little pause, and then very quickly, January 6th, Jamie Raskin's going to try some stunts to maybe deny certification of the 2024 results and impede Trump from coming into power on the 20th. We'll have that drama. We'll have the solemn remembrance of what happened on January 6th. And there, the thing that's amazing to me, Jason, is that the FBI has not come talking to you and to me, or the Congress has not come talking and said, listen, we want to go through your tape frame by frame, and we want to understand who every suspicious person in that frame that we identified on the fly with no training, who were those people? Because I have been to many Tea Party rallies and many spontaneous political events and stuff like that. The people we met were both, they recognized it was a historic day. We met people who came from Arkansas and California and all over the place. And they were not in a violent mood. And the people we were interacting with. And this was, I think, staged. We need now to understand who staged it and why. The suspicion is that this was Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi and others saying, here's a golden opportunity to put Trump and Trumpists into political oblivion or jail or both. And let's set a trap. The trap was set. And the real thing that was accomplished there is there was not any, it became impossible to legitimately raise questions about the 2020 election results, which in hindsight seemed to me, just as one person looking at the evidence that I've seen, it was a rigged election. It absolutely was. And we need to have serious people with subpoena power and budgets need to get back into the case of what happened in Georgia. This case against Rudy Giuliani is outrageous. And what happened in Arizona in 2020 is outrageous. And the elections of 2026 and going forward in 2028 need absolutely to be secure. You can't have a spectacle where France, which is a legitimate country, falling into the abyss or maybe already in the abyss, where France can get its election results tabulated almost immediately. And we're waiting on fucking California for over a month, as they steal election after election with mail-in ballots. We can't have that anymore. We deserve better than that.
Absolutely, Charles. I'm a little bit behind you here. Had a bunch of stories, and I never know when you're going to stop a thought.
Yeah.
So,
sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm done.
Well, okay. California still counting. Rudy Giuliani says he's broke and he dressed as Santa to haul coffee.
That's I mean, think of it. Is it right? Is it right for Pete Buttigieg, however you pronounce that ridiculous name, to have? I'm sure he's not living in a trailer in some suburb in Virginia. To live large, to get up and pompously demonstrate in every interaction with the public that he's an arrogant fool. To have had close to $1 trillion of budget authority And instead of producing the number of charging stations he was supposed to produce, he produces what, 1, 8? We can't burn that type of money. This isn't the movie Arthur, where the president of the United States is Arthur, right? Or Weekend at Bernie's. This is not the time to be doing this. And this, as we look around the world, I mean, there are all kinds of flashpoints, obvious ones, Syria, what's left of Afghanistan. I mean, this Biden administration sent representatives to a conference in Azerbaijan where the Taliban was present. We probably paid for a private jet travel there to talk about climate change. I mean, talking about climate change to me is ridiculous. It's just a stupid frame. People say all climate scientists agree. Yeah, of course they do. Because if you want to get a grant, you got to say there's money available to tackle climate change. So you say, okay, fine, we better study climate change. But when you look at the people and get into the specifics, as I have done with different people, the original model cannot be replicated. People who were involved early in this movement have said it's a ridiculous sham. It's obviously wasteful. So where's this Biden administration sending people to Azerbaijan to talk to the Taliban about climate change? John Kerry did ask, as our climate czar, he asked the military in Ukraine and Russia to use their bombs carefully so that it doesn't accentuate climate change. I mean, how does this guy needs to have a sanity check, John Kerry. To be as arrogant and as stupid and as disconnected from reality on the ground in the United States, and to be swanning around the world in his private yacht and private jet, probably swilling authentic vintage champagne and caviar, and lecturing the rest of us about that we're idiots if we don't fight climate change. Drop everything and fight climate change. It's ridiculous.
This Azerbaijan Airlines was shot down. I don't know if you knew about that, but that was a coincidence that you were talking about Azerbaijan, and here it is.
No, I did see that this morning, actually.
Crashed.
Yeah. It's just this is when you hope that an adult child has his or her priorities straight, and you just hope that's the case, and you can't really get them to do anything different because they're adult. And then you discover that their priority, they don't have any realistic priorities. And worse, they borrowed 10 times the amount of money they could hope to make legitimately to just burn it. And that's basically what these ass clowns are doing. And
Charles, on the what?
On the subject of I know there's a lot of chatter on the internet about Mike Johnson. He's another ass clown. I'm sorry. He obviously is enjoying the benefits of speakership, which I believe include having your own plane, your own government plane, and of course every lobbyist, every person on the world who can get any grift out of our government wants to talk to the speaker and give his political action committee and campaigns money. But I mean, it was ridiculous, his performance, and we just need somebody who's got fire in the belly, who is prepared to stand up. And Kevin McCarthy iced Matt Gaetz. That's what happened with this ridiculous. And a point on that, the standard I understand in the United States to be is that, and it's important, of the many things that our founders fought for from 1776 to 1789, one of the most important ones is that every citizen, I'll start with that, in the United States of America is innocent until proven guilty. It is not Matt Gaetz's responsibility to exonerate himself. It is the government's responsibility to whatever the applicable standard of proof is. If it's a civil case, it's preponderance of evidence. If it's criminal, beyond a reasonable doubt. It's the government's responsibility to decide whether charges are warranted, and then it is the government's responsibility to prove those charges. In the Gaetz case, the government, a corrupt government with a lot to hide and a lot to protect, had everything that the House has and everything that's in that report, and the crooked Garland-Biden administration decided not to prosecute Matt Gaetz. He shouldn't have to say anything more than that. And it is despicable what the two Republicans on that committee who voted to release this piece of shit report, which is on the face of it, it's obviously just a smear, paid for by U.S. government U.S. taxpayer money that we don't have to begin with. I mean, the people responsible for the two people who voted for that need to be primaried. They need to be removed from any position. If you can't get them out until the next Congress, you got to remove them from any committee. You should have no authority, no budget, so that it's virtually impossible for them to get reelection. And if possible, there should be recall petitions to get these assholes out. And we need to have people who understand that our house is burning down. The foundation of the United States of America is on fire, set from within. And the arsonists need to be found and punished. Nancy Pelosi is an arsonist. There's no legitimate way that she and her crazy ass husband and family have amassed the wealth that they seem to have amassed through her tenure in Congress and as Speaker Emerita, which is a non-title that she shouldn't use. And there are a lot of people like that.
Charles, this is the scathing report. They make it hard to get to. It's crazy that they released it. Who is the person who leaked this?
Well, it's some woman who had to step off some staffer.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You were saying they should prevent her from running. She left already, I think.
No. There's two issues. The woman you're talking about leaked relevant details of this report before the report was released. Then there had to be a vote, and two Republicans joined in this to make it possible for Democrats and other fuckwads to put this smear campaign out there. And this idea that in the House of Representatives you should still be allowed to trade on inside information, and in the Senate is ridiculous. It is an affront to any investor in the United States of America. You cannot have a situation. Most investments around the world, most investors do not invest in individual stocks. They don't have the training, they don't have the fortitude, they invest in mutual funds. If you really need to invest while you're in Congress, you should be only allowed to invest in passive, i.e. you don't choose which companies or securities, passive funds, and there should be strict scrutiny. You should have to produce a real audited balance sheet from right before December 31st, right before you enter Congress, and then at the end of each year, you should have to pay, and maybe the government pays for it, but you should have to get a real audit of your financial statements. And then there should be rules. A guy like Hunter Biden should never see the light of day again for what he did. I mean, he is this is the smartest person that Joe Biden knows, and that's obvious now, right? This guy was swanning around the world. The National Archives hid the fact that Joe Biden was with Hunter and President Xi of China in 2013. They hid this. Joe said in key moments, I'm not familiar with the finances of my family. Bull fucking shit. You are an inveterate liar. The presumption should be that anything coming out of a Biden family's mouth is a lie. That should be the presumption. And the mainstream press, the people who are like trying to figure out what actually was in Melania's underwear and what's going on with Barron and all the potential dirt on Trump, these people had to know in Washington, D.C., they had to know that Joe Biden was a demented piece of crap in 2020. They had to know that. And they had to know, and they installed him to get Trump out, to protect Obama and protect the Bush family, to protect McConnell and other grifters like Lindsey Graham. They cooperated to put this doofus in power, and then the pliant mainstream press totally discredited itself. I hope that Trump, when he decides who gets press credentials, I hope none of the mainstream press get press credentials. No New York Times, no Washington Post, no access. You are not legitimate. I wouldn't give, if Looney Tunes had a magazine, I wouldn't give them press credentials either. And
Looney
there needs
Tunes
to
is good, though. They haven't done any fake news. That's just Bugs Bunny. Charles, we're just about out of time here on our intro segment that people are watching on YouTube and X and BitChute and Odyssey and all the different channels. But we're going to continue this conversation in the First Amendment Forum. People are going to be able to join us on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. And you know, Charles, just recently I've been given the opportunity to put sponsor exclusive content on X. So now people who are following on X can just go there at JGCSTT. We're live on X. I must say they have made it technologically much better than it was as Twitter. I'm still curious as to why Elon Musk has avoided the Twitter coup like it's poison ivy, but you know, you can't have them all. But anyway, Charles, we'll be back in just less than 5 minutes. I hope people will stay with us. Merry Christmas, everyone. And thanks to everybody who's been sponsoring the show through the year 2024 and before. It's 8 years, Charles, that we've been working on all this stuff. And I want to thank everybody who has stuck with us and sponsored the show. I certainly wouldn't be here without you guys. I'm sure Charles would still be in Penang, but that's a whole other thing. Oh, actually, Charles, we almost forgot to say, I don't mean to speak for you, but we had suggested the concept of perhaps a tour around Shea or Tell, the amazing new international pad. People are going to be able to enjoy that when we get over to the sponsor exclusive segment. So you're not going to want to miss it. This is like architectural digest over here, right?
It's pretty nice.
If you have to say so yourself, I'm sure. You know, they say, Charles, rich or poor, it's better to have money, I think, something like that. I'm not sure exactly what the saying is, but we'll be back in just a minute. Thanks, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. We'll see everybody in the first